Since I gave myself a little bit more time to work on these songs, and since I just needed them, I need a song for me to feel fresh again. And so sometimes I just kind of keep on writing to it. And I really learned how to write more than I needed and to have that security of, even if I wrote something, it didn't always have to have the pressure of topping what I already had. Like, I could just not include it if I wrote it. Or I also wasn't precious about what I already had and was like always questioning whether I could top something. And so sometimes I would add like parts onto each other, have overlapping hooks, or sometimes a vocal melody would become like a guitar melody all over this EP, or like synths and stuff.
So or just like, we need a line that's like, let's make the vocal an instrument of some kind and do. I mean, we did stuff like even, I mean, I'll go ahead to this vocal chop thing though. It's like, it's just you from the chorus. I mean, we just kind of randomized kind of some kind of rhythm to it that we liked, and it was just a fun thing to kind of add rhythm to it. And it's like, it's more like this texture rather than anything else, because it's so filtered, and you can tell it's a voice when it's by itself, but like when it's with all these other things, you can't really like maybe tell as much. It just kind of sounds like a texture of some kind. Like it sounds vocally, but
it adds more movement. It's almost like a percussion loop in that way.
You can't fully predict it too, because I mean, we literally just played it.
It was so fun.
Chopped it to whatever we wanted.
I got really hyped when you were making that. I remember being like, oh yeah, absolutely. Like there's some ideas that you just know as they're being creative, that's going in. And I've always loved a vocal chop. Like Cody over there is wearing a Churches t-shirt, and they, to me,
shout out Churches.
Like the Mother We Share vocal chop lives rent free in my head forever and ever.
It's like one of the most iconic ones.
It's so iconic. I love it so much. And that's obviously way before I knew like, oh yeah, that's a vocal chop, blah, blah, blah. I'm totally gonna do that someday. But yeah, stored to memory for sure. Speaking of textures, I did come in with this layer that we called Atmos and Atmosphere. So as I'm like in the early stages of making a song, I really like to go ahead and just kind of browse presets and browse samples and stuff. And I'm not really designing a lot of sounds myself. I'm just kind of going through like the sound banks that I've saved. And this one I came across, I really liked. As a concept, I really appreciate a pedal tone. I appreciate, like, for example, a note that's held similar across changing chords, or like a leading tones, things like that.
A drone of some kind, whatever it is, just to establish the atmosphere is really fun.
And it made it feel a little bit more haunting and vibey and cool, and a little bit like less predictable, but also like meditative in the same way. Adding on this drone in the atmosphere, we can go ahead and play it too.
And just giving that like kind of like sidechain LFO like effect. And,
I put on some Nicky Romero and called it a day.
Hey, it works. It works. That kickstart is good.
And it looks like, so you added I think I had like a slightly two different tones, but it's just it's like basically a power chord, like a 1 and a 5.
And it just goes up in the octave, and then I just added like a second texture to it that just goes up. It just goes to the 16th note, and it just is even higher. Just add even more texture in the hooks and stuff, because it's just cool to add another layer whenever you can.
It's like quadruple time the other one. It's kind of like gated that way. It adds more movement.
It's fun, but you can like tell like in the track, like without it, like how much it changes. Like,
if you turn it off, what does it even sound like? Not as good. We don't have to be here, we can go a million miles.
Like you say, the piano and stuff.
It's so overrated. When I play the game,
it's more boring.
My only entertainment. Now we're not socializing.
It adds a little bit of movement. And then you add the and stuff.
Don't care what the price is. Don't care what the price is. Don't care what the price is. Got that Egomania and don't care what the price is.
It just helps like establish that whole feel like a lot better, right?
That's something I really appreciate about you and your style, is oftentimes when I come in with something, like you can take the idea and transform it and like edit the actual waveforms. I feel like you work a lot in those waveforms, and pitching things up, pitching them down, like chopping them up, such a thing. We did a lot of really cool like chopping stuff up on this record and on the other songs on the EP. But like we want to show some of those maybe like chop up kind of stuttery moments.
Yeah, like different stuff. Are you talking about like maybe like this, the piano stuff at the end right here?
Yeah, like that type of thing. Yeah.
Because these pianos, I mean, I did have other stuff to it. No, I think I just made everything cut out. I added like this reverse piano too.
Yeah.
Maybe let's put on all the pianos here. I know it's just kind of a cool way to just add a different, like, because when we're doing the outro basically like twice here, because before it was supposed to just end, so we thought maybe it'd just end there, bum, 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 and just go right into the next song.
Yeah.
Then we added this whole extra stretch over here, and then doubled the outro, and it's just like a cool way to transition it so that when it goes to that major kind of chord at that last outro, it just feels very, very different. Like it gives you like a transitional cue. It's like, hey, something cool is about to happen.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Rather than it just playing through or something, like that'd be cool, but like I just don't know if it would sound the same, like if I just drag this out and, you know. Doesn't hit the same, you know?
Yeah, no, not the same. Even with like the vocal riser there and everything. So sometimes it's less about literally inventing a new thing yourself and more about curating multiple layers together and figuring out how to mix that in a subtle way. So
because this song is literally, it's simple. It's the same kind of couple chords, but then we just added all these
and a lot of them are still like the samples we took, or I guess we recreated for the piano. Like we played, I think we played those exact same chords, didn't we not?
Yeah, we played the chords over it again too, and because we also like, I mean, we doubled like a Rhodes underneath the whole thing too, just to go underneath the piano.
Yeah,
just added more warmth in the hooks and stuff. It just sounded cooler. Just added more texture and stuff too, and we added some stuff. I mean, to it, like some RC20 just for some like more texture. Thermal is like this distortion kind of weird effect. Filter Freak to kind of just add a little bit more like movement. It makes it go like that, like little like cool filtering resonant sound that it's doing.
You want to unfreeze that and show us what the plugin looks like?
It's cool. This Filter Freak is dope.
Oh yeah.
It just kind of.
I need to get back into using that. I got the Sound Toys effects rack.
All that stuff's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
But thermal, just adds a little bit more like, I don't know, distortion, saturation, texture stuff. So I got subtle sweetener, and I just kind of like tweaked it a little bit how I wanted. And just kind of made it a little bit more, I don't know, warm. Because here, you can do a lot of stuff. It's just subtle, but it just adds a little bit more like warmth to it. RC20 just gives a little color and character to it. A little distortion, a little wobble. Made it magnetic, so it's kind of going wow, wow, wow again. I wanted it to kind of like warble and feel like very characteristic and, I don't know, almost like starts to go out of tune slightly. I like the little like movement of the filter and stuff. It just needed to sound not just like a piano.
Yeah, it makes sense for this genre. Like we didn't want it to be like a ballad style piano. We wanted it to be like more in that electronic type of pocket, also like indie too. Yeah,
because we played it and then we just resampled it because we wanted it to sound kind of more like
digital.
Digital, like you're playing a sample. Like it's kind of cool when you hear some hip hop stuff like that where you can just tell like it's just starting on like a transient and it's just kind of like, bam, and then it kind of cuts weird too because you're like, oh, like it didn't like fade.
It's like glitchy, but not in an obvious way.
Yeah, so it sounds less like someone's playing the piano and just like, I mean, it just sounds cool having it be more samply. It's kind of funny how you have to like reverse engineer how to make it sound not crappy again, but like almost like just like not human-y.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the case when it comes to a lot of music, and people hate on it. People hate on putting tape saturation and like crazy effects and stuff, and just like everything that RC20 does on different instruments because we have such high def gear right now. But I think people miss art that leaves a little bit more up to the imagination or embraces its humanity. Like I don't want to talk too long about this, but like Gilmore Girls I got really into watching in the fall, and the reboot just didn't hit the same. It didn't hit of course the fall is the witching hour for Gilmore Girls. But when I watched the reboot, I was like a little bit disappointed by how the writing and change and everything, but the tech was so good. It was like too good. It took us out of that world. And sometimes I feel like listening to music, sometimes people miss that world that was a little bit more vintage.
Yeah,
But they want
imperfect.
they want the updated themes of this year. Like they don't miss everything about that world. But yeah,
I made
let's go
this
to
all
that.
weird because this is literally just like a static kind of radio thing sample that I had, and you can see all this stuff I put on a random gate that's being triggered by this drum sample. So I literally have this drum sample, not heard at all, but that drum sample is all those transients are triggering like this kind of like rhythmic texture, like static. It's panning around and all this stuff. It's got this cool phase on it. And it's just in this texture. It's just in the, I guess, second verse, third verse, or whatever part you want to call it.
Yeah.
I've been preparing, made for the big screen. Always a villain if it means I'm on the
It's so sneaky.
It was just a cool little texture that I was like, I kind of wanted something that's kind of going, kind of glitching out in the background and just, yeah, got that static and phased it out and stuff, and it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
And had it trigger to that, so that was fun.
Yeah.
But those little subtle things are kind of what make it, I don't know, a whole production.